The next part of this TNA e-learning course concerns step 1 of the TNA process, which is about identifying and prioritizing climate change technologies. Up to now, you have heard the background of the TNAs. In the second component, you heard how to set up your institutional structure and prioritize sectors, and you probably already have done that. And in the third component, you have heard about how to identify stakeholders, who they might be in your country. And this next component is about the first analytical step in the TNA process, which is identification and prioritization of technologies. And this will be concluded in the first of the 3 deliverables, which we refer to as the TNA report. And this first step will be the base of the rest of the analysis. In this component, we will first give an overview of the technology prioritization process in the TNA. And the majority of the component will go through steps involved in the process one by one. And for each of the steps, you will hear who is involved in the step, what tasks and technologies are necessary for this step, and also what the expected outputs are for the step. And throughout the component, we will also provide sources of information, both for specific steps and also for the overall process. The ultimate goal when you conduct your TNA is that the technologies are implemented at the end of the process. You don't want your TNA report to be just filed in an archive and forgotten. And how can you achieve that? There are several things to consider. For example, your inputs should be meaningful. They should be relevant and country-specific. The analysis should be focused because resources are limited. It is not practical to do a very detailed analysis on all the possible climate change technologies in each sector. This is why we prioritize technologies in the very beginning of the process. The TNA should not be conducted in a vacuum because in order for it to be implemented, it is important that it is understood and accepted by the key stakeholders. And finally, it should fit your country context. It is very important to understand where it fits, where it complements or builds upon other processes in the country. If you're watching this, you are probably part of the TNA team in your country, and I will shortly remind you what your role can be in this first step. The decision-making and direction of the process will be done by the TNA coordinator, who will be supported by the National TNA Committee in the process. The main analysis and technical support will be provided by national consultants, and they will work in close collaboration with the TNA coordinator and the leadership of the project. Information, consultation, and different judgments will be provided by the stakeholders, and all these groups will interact in order to achieve maximum potential. There are 2 main groups of activities involved, and first group is data gathering and consultation. This involves gathering quantitative data, qualitative data, and obtaining expert judgments. And this data will be analyzed, synthesized, and a report will be produced at the end. And the main tool and methodology used in this step will be multi-criteria analysis. What is multi-criteria analysis? It is a decision-making tool. This decision-making tool can be used to find one best option, to rank options in the order from best to worst, and it can also be used to select several best options for the further analysis, which is what we do in the TNA. Multi-criteria analysis is something that we also do in our daily life subconsciously. For example, when you choose what to eat for breakfast, you choose it implicitly and you choose it without thinking about it, but you use several criteria in your subconsciousness, such as taste, price, did I eat it yesterday, is it going to keep me going until lunch, and you make this decision implicitly, but it is a kind of multi-criteria analysis. The difference is that the multi-criteria analysis is a structured approach for choosing among options, and you do a bit more of this kind of approach when you choose, for example, a bicycle, because you consciously decide I want a bicycle. It is important for me that it is affordable. It is important for me that it is good quality. You think about where you will use it. And when you choose the bicycle that you will buy, you have made this decision through an informal multi-criteria analysis. In the TNA process, what is important is to make a decision on which technologies merit further resources and investment. And this is a decision that cannot be made by one person, and it is not an implicit decision. It's not an easy task. Multiple views are involved, and multi-criteria analysis approach is good for this because it can account for judgment of the decision makers and stakeholders. This kind of analysis we can also compare with something we do in daily life. If you were buying a bicycle together with a friend, such as a tandem bike, you would have to account for their preferences and for your own. When you go out to eat with your friends, you will also have to account for what they want and what you want from a restaurant. The difference is that choosing a bike or choosing a restaurant is an informal process, and the TNA and the MCA that we use in the TNA is a formal process. MCA, as I said, is a structured framework, and it consists of several steps. This is one particular way of putting it, but in general it will be similar to what you see in this flowchart. This particular flowchart is based on a multi-criteria manual from the UK government, which you can find on our website. The rest of this component will go through each of these steps one by one.